one of the biggest changes we've seen in recent years and decades has been the technology shock, and the fact that we're now raising our sons and our daughters effectively online on the internet with smartphones. And there's been a lot of attention paid, quite rightly, to the impact of social media, for example, on the mental health of teen girls and young women. But the technology shock is affecting boys and men too, and in some ways a bit differently. You see that boys and young men are much likely to be video gaming, for example. Online pornography is overwhelmingly consumed by boys and young men. And the evidence for the direct harms from those is actually not very good. It's pretty mixed. It's a difficult research area. But to me, that misses the point. I see the real challenge with what's happening to boys and men in this technological revolution is what they're not doing when they're online. It's the displacement of other activities that I think is the real problem. And because these games and other activities online are so immersive, and it can sometimes even be borderline addictive or actually addictive, is that what are you not doing? And there's no substitute for physical interaction, for relationships that are founded in the real world as well as online. And so in some ways, the technology revolution is impacting boys and young men almost in an opposite way to girls and young women, because what we see with girls and young women is how images, for example, are stoking like body image problems and self-harm, but also the relationships. There's the relational bullying that, on the average, is somewhat more more common among girls and young women. So it's actually the mere fact of bringing people into relationship with each other and sort of seeing each other online is almost like it is a direct harm. Whereas I think with boys and young men, it's just much more indirect. It's actually sometimes the opposite of relational. It's isolating. And so the result actually is for many boys and young men to be more alone as a result of the technological revolution. And so we just shouldn't say that one is worse or better than the other. I think that's the kind of zero-sum framing that I'm certainly hugely opposed to. But we do need to recognize that the impact of technology is playing out somewhat differently in terms of mental health for boys and young men compared to women and young girls. As a parent, I only have sons, but if I had daughters, I'd be much more concerned about what they were consuming online, because I do think that the direct harm is real. Whereas with boys and young men, I'm more concerned about just how much time they're online and doing other stuff as well, that is just displacing other activities.